So Stealth and Stealth 2. Is this actually any better? Well, it's time to put these two head to head, really put it to the test, and find out. So welcome back to Elite Performance Golf Studios, and off the back of our initial Stealth 2 review that I did with 4D, if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it in the description below. Go and take a look. So off the back of that, we didn't really properly put these clubs head to head. So that is exactly what this video is going to be about. And it's going to be a very in-depth, technical, performance-based video. So if you want to just talk about all the tech and stuff, this isn't the video for you. I'm going to be hitting lots of shots on quad. I'm going to be showing you specific examples of data points that we can actually kind of try and see how different these drivers actually are. Now that's one of the only ways that I can actually get across to you how these drivers do perform, or if there is any difference in performance. If I just show you a data set, it means nothing. I need to show you specific examples of shots, break them down using my experience and my knowledge to tell you which one's better, why it's better, how it's better, and if it's better. So if you really want to know which one's better, or if the Stealth 2 is any better, then let's go find out. Right, so we're into it. First up, OG Stealth, Stealth 1, Stealth, whatever you want to call it, the first model. So we're going to be getting a lot of shots with both in this test today, a lot of shots, and I'm going to be probably showing you quite a few shots. Again, just talk you through the performance differences and what I'm seeing in these drivers. It's a little bit low in the face, I think, but I would take it. Yeah, maybe just a... I mean, it's not bad. Not bad at all. Yep, a little bit low in the head, so that'll generally reduce the launch a little bit, but still, really nice numbers, good efficiency, 146 efficiency, 114 club, 167 ball. We like that. So yeah, I'm not going to be touching on too much of the tech and how that's really changed. I mean, the overall story is more carbon, like we said in the initial review, weight saving. I mean, there's more mass at the back, more mass at the front, different sliding weight, 15 gram instead of 10. So that should make a little bit more difference when we're kind of actually changing that weight about a little bit, which is nice. I might do a test on that as well, possibly at some point. But yeah, I mean, for me personally, I never really got on with the original Stealth all that well. So this test is going to be really, really interesting, hitting them back to back and actually seeing, is it a better driver? Also, as always, the setup's obviously going to be identical. I've got a Ventus Black TR5X shaft, which obviously goes in both heads. So the shaft is going to be identical. They're both going to be playing at 8 degrees and they're both got the weight set neutral. So identical setups for this test to keep it as scientific as possible as always. That one felt pretty good. Maybe a couple mil low again. More than happy with the result though. I mean, the sound is just, it's going to be really interesting to go straight into the Stealth 2. Yeah, almost identical to the first one. Pretty similar numbers too. Okay, I don't really feel like I'm going to need to show you that many, to be honest, but the sound of this thing is just, I think in the original Stealth, they almost made it try and sound a bit more like titanium-y. So it's a bit more tingy, high pitch. It doesn't sound good. The new one though, different story. And I mean, even looking down at the top of these drivers, I mean, I really do prefer the look of the Stealth 2 as well. I personally felt the original Stealth here looked a little bit on the cheap side, really. I mean, if you look at the back, the kind of holographic stickers they had on there, to me looked very cheap, I think. And the chrome, the big chrome bit at the back, so I really didn't like. I wasn't a massive fan of the way it looks, but to me, the new one, love the fact they brought that kind of iodized red ring back. That was obviously from the Sim 2 in blue. I really like the look of that. It looks quite a bit more premium, I think. That the look overall, the weight track looks more solid, just like it fits in the head better. Overall, I think it looks like a bit more of a premium product as well, which is nice when you're spending a lot of money on a driver nowadays. And the look of this one down by the ball, I never really liked it. It looked a bit stubby, almost almost looks quite high, top to bottom. Just doesn't sit very nice on the floor to me, and I think that's a massive thing in fittings. You want to put a club down and you just want it to sit there, look nice and give you the confidence, and that maybe was one of the biggest negatives in this driver for me. It just never quite suited my eye. To be honest, that would be an interesting one to look at because it felt like I nearly missed that out of the face. What a result though. What a result. Yeah, not a good strike. Not a good strike at all. Low toe. Those numbers though, 144 efficiency, solid. 114 club, 164 ball, 12.5 launch, 2200 backspin, almost ideal. Obviously geared back a little draw where we hit out of the toe. I mean, the one thing there is the delivery that you would have seen was super neutral, right? So super neutral delivery, so that meant I actually, the club did help me out on that one. It was forgiving in the fact that I hit it low toe, but because the delivery was decent, I got away with it. The club helped me, so that's a pretty forgiving shot in my opinion. On that last one, it didn't feel like solid. Like it felt bad. I mean, it was a bad strike, but it just, I don't know, there's something about some of the new drivers that just, even when you miss hit them, they just still feel solid and quite powerful and yeah, just nice. And that just felt almost a little flimsy to me, to be honest. Sploosh. Yeah. It's kind of ones like that where actually that's ended up 47 yards right of target. If you break it down, it didn't feel like a bad swing. Like there's a couple of combinations of things that happened there. Obviously we swung a little bit from the inside, so I was approaching the ball from the inside. The face was pretty much square. I did catch it a tiny bit heely, but I mean, it's not a horrendous swing. And ended up 50 yards right of target. Like, kind of feel like that maybe it's punished me a little bit more than it should have. Felt like one of the best ones I've hit so far, to be honest. Yeah. Very good. Borderline, yeah, let's say a little bit low spin, 14 launch, 1900 backspin, still 145 efficiency, 168 ball speed. I mean, this is the thing with one of these, it was like, when you did get it, like we said, you got it and it went. I mean, it's gone 347. That's pretty long. Yeah, so I just hit 20 drives in a row with that, and just to kind of sum it up, I mean, from a dispersion perspective, I mean, you can kind of probably just see that on the screen there. I mean, it probably doesn't look that bad on here. I mean, there's a nice big group in it, tended to want to fade a little bit more, which is definitely a bit more of a fade bias driver for sure. A little bit more down the right, but bearing in mind that's 50 yards right to 50 yards left. That's a 100-yard wide dispersion, which is not great. I hit some unbelievable shots with it. Like when you get this out the middle, it is ridiculously good. And I do feel in certain circumstances, it is forgiving. It does depend on the delivery, but you do just get some random results for it. Like, you know, when you hit a high toe and you expect to see a dippy kind of hook and it's like a big high right slice. It's just always been a bit random, this to me. You look at the data and you're a bit like, that doesn't really make sense. So yeah, I mean, just, would I want to take it out on the course and play it? No, I wouldn't. Something about the way it feels, the way it sounds, some results that you see that just doesn't quite give me confidence. And I think that's what it boils down to. Just don't feel confident in it. Right, so we're into the new one, the Stealth 2, and instantly just down by the ball, it just looks so much better to me. I mean, finish aside, not talking about the finish, just the way it sits. Like it looks less stubby, so it looks longer front to back. It basically looks like someone's just stood on the original Stealth. Like it's flattened and a bit more longer. So longer front to back, a bit flatter. The lie angle is flatter as well, so it sits more like toe down, essentially, which I really like. It just looks much nicer. And that lie angle is going to be interesting to see what the difference is that we'll see at the end with the data and how much different the lie angle is, but it sits flatter, the footprint's nicer. It just gives me more confidence, to be honest, which, yeah, it's much better. Ooh. That didn't feel like a good shot at all, that. That path is really not helping me, is it? That is really not helping me. But I kind of expected that from that one, to be honest, because if you look at the delivery, the path's neutral and the face is 1.3 open. You know, so the numbers are actually decent, but yeah, that's always going right. That is not the club. That's me. That was really low in the face. Gonna take that result any day of the week though. 146 efficiency, ball speed up at 168. Spin comes up a little bit to 25.88, which you're gonna expect from a low strike. But look, the ball flight's awesome, so good. I actually felt, it just feels better. Again, that's basically the same shot. I mean, yeah. Still, we are not going to grumble at that. Low in the face. Yep, not quite as low as the last one. So your backspin's better. 14 launch, 22 backspin. Still 146 efficiency, 167 ball speed, and still a really lovely ball flight. I mean, the sound is lower pitch, like 100% lower pitch. I think this is almost what we expected Stealth 1 to sound like. That kind of carbony face. It sounds duller and more muted. Like that low strike that I hit there with the original Stealth was just like, ding! It's just like, oh, it's like, not nice at all. This definitely, from a sound perspective, in my opinion, is a lot better. Oh my, whoa, that was bad. Worst strike yet. Worst strike yet. Super high. I mean, really got away with that backspin, 1200. No efficiency and no backspin. Really high on the face, that was not good. It's gone nearly 350 yards. Again, there is a little bit of the foresight low spin algorithm, so there is a good chance that didn't go that far out on course. But I mean, the ball flight, looking at the screen, I mean, it's just a nice little draw, almost the same as the last few, which, considering how bad that was, it did very well. That didn't feel great. Felt a little bit heaty. Such good numbers still. 22 backspin. Yeah, it felt a little bit low heel. Again, it never looks that bad on that graphic, but it didn't feel great. Still 145 efficiency, 15 launch, 22 backspin. I mean, I have hit a few wide ones with this as well, of course. I'm gonna. I don't drive it that straight, but I get the kind of feeling that I feel more confident with it. I do, like it's just something about it. I feel like I'm gonna get punished slightly less with my misses. Like that, it didn't feel good. It did feel low heel, but the numbers are still good. The ball flight's still good. I felt like I didn't really get punished. It does feel a bit more forgiving. Now, I'll be honest, it actually does kind of pain me to say that because, you know, I would have been in the same boat as a lot of you when you see Stealth 2, like a bit like, you don't really get too excited. You're a bit like, well, they're not really going to make that many changes. It's just kind of a tweaked Stealth 1. But yeah, I've got to give it to him. I do actually think this is a better driver. I really do. Like, it's something that I would actually consider gaming. Like, I would not have considered gaming Stealth 1. I would actually consider gaming this. So that does speak quite a lot. Oh, God, just a little late. I felt so good. Yeah, it's long. Again, that strike felt awesome. Numbers are really good. Just couldn't square the face on that one. Yeah, strike was absolutely mint. Look at that 2 inside and then the face just square. It's just pretty much a straight push. Like, it's close. I will say one thing. These drivers are fade bias. It's very rare for me to see the right side of the course. It's probably been 4 or 5 shots down the left and 30 down the right side. Like, it wants to fade. Even that, like again, I nearly missed out the toe. So good. It's just, yeah, really toey. Numbers are just good. 144 efficiency, 2300 backspin. Nice little drawback to target. I felt that was going right, and it's absolutely fine. Right, so time for those all-important numbers. That's 20 shots hit with each driver. And I'm going to sum up at the end. So actually, let's just dive straight into the numbers now. I was going to say something then, but save it to the end. Numbers. So Stealth on top, Stealth 2 on the bottom. Stealth 166 average ball speed. Stealth 2 167.2 average ball speed. Launch, Stealth 13.4, Stealth 2 14.6. And again, there's a reason for both of those when we dive into the club data in a minute. Backspin with the original Stealth 2150. Stealth 2 2250, so slightly higher launch and higher spin with the Stealth 2. Carry got a couple of extra yards on average out of the Stealth 2, just obviously that little bit more ball speed, a little bit more launch, keeping it in the air a little bit longer. And I'm not really going to look at total because carry's a bit more accurate really when you're comparing them. Some might have landed in the fairway, some in the rough, some might have bounced on the path. So look at carry really. I mean, across the board, the Stealth 2 is also a bit tighter in terms of average spin was a bit tighter, ball speed same, launch same, average spin was a bit tighter, and average carry was a bit tighter on the dispersion. So it was a little bit more consistent across the board as well within that. So minute little differences across the board, a little bit more speed out of the Stealth 2, a little bit higher launch, a little bit higher spin at the Stealth 2, and a little bit more consistent with the Stealth 2 on this page. Now let's dive into the club data and see what we can see and why that might have happened. Okay, club data page, so the delivery of the club. First thing we can notice is the efficiency of them on average was actually the same. I just swung the Stealth 2 a little bit faster. And again, I did dive back in and look through the numbers. It fluctuated a little bit more with Stealth rather than Stealth, so it did stay consistently a little bit higher. So I don't think it was that I was more warm. I think it was I was more confident with it, to be honest. And that's something I see in fits quite a lot. When someone's more confident, swing it a little bit faster. Now, the reason for the launch and spin difference is that dynamic loft, although that I was quite shocked when I saw that. So I did dive into the numbers and kind of look to see if there's anything different going on or what would be the cause of that. Was it me? I don't think it was, to be honest. I mean, I did hit a little bit more up on Stealth 2, and that is a pattern sometimes in my tests. A little bit later on, I get a little bit more tired and I do start hitting up a little bit more, but it's only half a degree. Now, so that did shock me. So when I dived into the data, that was a bit more consistent than I thought it would be. Like, it did deliver a little bit more dynamic loft, and that could be the fact that, you know, now they've got that more mass to play with. They've got that bigger weight at the back of the head to increase the MOI. Therefore, that could be a reason why I might be seeing a little bit more dynamic loft. But it definitely did deliver a little bit more dynamic loft, causing a little bit higher launch and a little bit higher spin as well. But maybe probably not enough for that difference there. I would normally expect to see more of a difference in the launch and spin based on that. So I actually managed it really, really well. The dynamic lie, that was a really interesting bit. And before this, I did think it was about 2 degrees based on what I saw the other day when 40 was hitting these two drivers. So it was about 2 degrees. So Stealth 2 is 2 degrees flatter than the original Stealth, which is great. It's why it sits nice and flat on the ground. The toe isn't up. It's just nice and square, which is lovely. I really, really like it. From a delivery perspective, face angle, path was pretty similar, to be honest, slightly from the inside. Tiny bit more closed on average with this Stealth 2, which again is fine. Both pretty decent deliveries, pretty neutral, nothing too crazy going on there to skew the results. And angle of attack, I hit a little bit more up. So I think realistically, the takeaways from there were swung a bit faster, I feel, because of confidence, to be honest. And that dynamic loft, that was quite surprising, to be honest. That's more than I thought that I would see, but go maybe a little bit of difference in that head design, creating that little bit more dynamic loft to change those launch conditions. Now, let's jump in and sum this up. Right, so the Stealth 2, do I think it is a better driver than Stealth 1? Yes, I do. I do. How much? It's not massive. It's not leaps and bounds, as we knew it wasn't going to be. But for me, it's enough to put it into the bracket of, okay, I want to test this now against other stuff and actually see how it performs. And, you know, could it be something I could turn into a gamer? It's in that league now, whereas the Stealth 1 for me just wasn't quite there. One thing I have just done is weigh the heads, just to check that there wasn't any weight differences for the swing speed. And they're literally identical. They're within 0.2 of a gram of each other, so there's no difference in head weight whatsoever. So the way I would sum it up is, for me personally, looks, sounds, and feels much better. Feels more solid, sounds duller, more muted, more powerful. The look on the ground to me, the footprint's much nicer. It sits much flatter, which is much nicer. Overall, a much nicer looking product. Even from the top, personally, I prefer it. I think it looks less cheap. I think the first one looked a little bit cheap, if I'm brutally honest with you. This one looks, I think, a bit better. And then the forgiveness, yes, I do believe it is more forgiving. Again, wouldn't say it's leaps and bounds, it's reasonably marginal, but to me it's noticeable that you don't quite get punished as much on those miss hits. Like I said, with stealth ones, sometimes you hit one, you expect to see something and you see something completely different. You're like, oh, and that doesn't fill you with confidence. And I think that's one of the things about that head that just threw me off completely, alongside with the looks down by the ball. But yeah, whereas the Stealth 2 feels to me like a little bit more predictable. If I've made a bad swing, I look up, I expect to see a bad shot, whether it be right or left, and I kind of see that shot. So you're like, okay, that was a bad swing, fair enough, it's not the club, it's me. So yeah, overall, I definitely do think it's a much better driver. If you've got Stealth, would I go and test it? Yeah, I would actually. Like, and you all know me, I'm pretty honest with these sort of things. I would. I wouldn't say most people probably won't be purchasing a Stealth 2 over a Stealth, but it's worth going and having a hit and seeing what you think. So I do think it's a bit of a better driver. So yeah, there you go. Pretty much summed up everything with the Stealth 2 performance test. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do subscribe, like, click that notification bell, because we're going to have lots more of tests coming, especially with this as well. All the new products coming. I cannot wait. Testing season. I'll see you in the next one.